Welcome, everyone. My name is Monica Moleg. I am the Department Chair of the Nutrition and Food Service Management Program. I'm really happy you're here for this session. We're going to talk about the different pathways through our department, and there are two very distinct paths. I encourage you to listen to both so that you can figure out which one would be right for you, and then we can answer any questions. There will be a question period midway through and at the end. But even if a question comes to you afterwards, and for anybody who's watching this recording later, I do encourage you to just send me an email. And my email will be listed at, I think, 2 different points in the presentation. So, all good, and let's get going here. So, Langara College is a pathway institution, which means most of our students come to Langara on their way somewhere else, either to a career or to another institution. It's also considered a low barrier institution because for Langara, we don't really look at so much as what you've done in the past, but what you're going to do in the future. So in some programs, the admission criteria are quite low for a post-secondary institution, but we give you opportunities to bring that up to whatever that program requires. Okay, so we have two different pathways through the department. We have the university transfer path, which leads to mostly UBC, although we have had some students take it through to other universities in Canada. We also have the career path. All of that is completed here at Langara. It can be done in 2 years, and it leads to a career in nutrition management. What we're going to do is we're going to look at both of these paths. We're going to first look at the career and then the university transfer path. Look at them briefly and see what their pathway looks like. So when we start with the Nutrition and Food Service Management Diploma, we're looking at that right side of that original picture. It is a 2-year program, and it's done completely at Langara. It can be done completely online if you're a domestic student, or during COVID, I suppose, but if you're a domestic student. If you are an international student, half of that program needs to be done on campus or right now while you're in Canada. The online option and courses do give you an opportunity to be able to spend more time at home with your family if that's what's needed, or working. And we do find a lot of our students do have part-time or full-time jobs while they're working. It's a great idea to be working in food service. One of our courses does require that, and it is a good way of setting up your future path when you're working. As I said, it can be done in 2 years. However, if life happens, you can stretch it out as far as 6, but after 6 years, you probably will have to redo a couple of courses like the science ones. We take students all 3 terms, and we do expect that most students will be going to school for all 3 terms of the year. We do have a special option, admission option for people who have a nutrition or a dietetics degree, be it a Canadian degree or an international degree. For them, they can do the program within a year. It's tight and it only works if you start in September, but it's possible. This program is also open for the postgraduate work permit if you are an international student, but it is slightly shorter, and I can direct you to talk to the person in the International Education Department who can give you more information about this. Students who come to the Nutrition Management Program with experience in food service can also be eligible for something called PLAR. PLAR, which stands for Prior Learning Assessment and Recognition. And that's a means of providing academic credit for opportunities that we never could before. So if you've done some trades training, for instance, if you've done formal culinary training, you've gone to BCC and you've had some cook training or you have your red seal, we can give you an opportunity to earn your credits much faster and just prove that you are competent in these courses. So there's 4 or 5 courses that you can do this for. So if someone is a Red Seal chef and has been working in food service for a while, they could take up to 5 courses. That's 1/4 of the program, and just do it in really faster, less expensive, less time-dependent way of doing things. There's a wide variety of courses in this program because the role of a food service supervisor or manager is quite varied. There's nutrition and biology, there's food theory, there's business, there's English, which is required because it's a course in BC, and that's required. We also have psychology in there, just so you can understand your staff better. The nutrition and food service management program also has practicums. So students, when they graduate, they're job ready. And most students are working in their chosen career well before graduation. That's really exciting. In our current group that's finishing up this term, all but 2 students have positions already. And the 2 that don't have them is because they want to go on a vacation right after they finish classes, and they'll get their job afterwards. When students graduate, they're eligible for membership in the Canadian Society of Nutrition Management. The CSIM is a national professional association that provides accreditation to programs, and it also provides reassurance to employers that the people with the membership are up to date and well-trained professionals who get the job done. For the members, CSIM, as we call it, provides support and opportunities to do continuing education, and there's a whole heap of other benefits as well. The membership in CSIM is required by law for people who want to be supervisors or manage residential care facility kitchens with more than 50 people living there. Most acute care facilities also require membership. And so there right now, there's a lot more positions in the province than there are people with that designation. We especially see that if we go as far as, well, it's not even as far, if we go to say Port Moody or to Chilliwack and Abbotsford and anywhere else, well, Vancouver Coastal, there's opportunities there. There's a lot of opportunities further out. So keep all that in mind. It costs less to live out there as well. So speaking of jobs, let's talk about the type of jobs that would be available here. There are positions in healthcare, as I said, seniors retirement residences, but our graduates have also worked in school district, specifically Surrey and in Vancouver School District. The province's correctional facilities, so that's prisons. They've worked in the military, feeding armed forces up around the Arctic Circle and other places as well. They've been hired at resorts in the tropics, in golf clubs, and large corporate cafeterias in the city. Some have even gone on to open their own restaurants. There are lots of different places for you to establish yourself, and this is a solid career opportunity. But most of the opportunities are in healthcare. Providing food in long-term care or acute care facilities gives you the opportunity to be involved in the care of elders who are living in care or people who are recuperating from illness or surgery. It's a well-paying career that has opportunity for professional growth if you want it. Many of our graduates move on to become support service managers. This means that they're not only managing the food service operations, but they're also looking after housekeeping and laundry, sometimes maintenance as well. So that's one of the places where there's room for a lot of growth. If you're curious and you want to take a look at some of these jobs, we do have a blog that you can subscribe to or that you can just go look at. And that lists all the jobs that are available around the province. We post jobs that are for the new graduate or for the seasoned professional. I'll be listing that address in a few slides from now, so you can either, take a picture of it or write it down. Before teaching at Langara, I was a food service director, and I hired lots of food service supervisors. I was looking for people who were responsible and accountable, and that would be a team player. Other qualities that I'd be wanting to look for are people who have compassion, that love food. You can't work with food without loving it. And people. You would care about your patients or your residents and your employees. A strong leadership skill that is calm and able to make a decision while the dishwasher is breaking down and water's flying about, and being able to think on your feet. If you don't have all those skills right now, that's okay. You can grow into them. You continue to learn while you're at school, and you would develop these skills while you're working as well. That's the great part about working while studying. You get to see the real life application of what you're learning. As you gain more and more experience, you're able to climb the career ladder. Supervisor to assistant manager to director and onward. And that really depends on which site you select and what kind of place you decide to work. But before you start, you need to have the CSIM credential, and that's what this program gives you. So how do you get started in all this? Well, if you're 19 years of age, or you have your high school diploma, you can do it. It starts with the application to Langara, and that's right here on the Langara homepage. And even if you are already a student at Langara, you do need to complete this application again. And that's because we're what's called a limited enrollment program. One of the benefits, I have to tell you, of being a limited enrollment program is that we register on the very first day of registration. Now, that's a bonus that's hard to overlook. But besides this application, there's a few other things that we need to have. So the first one is your resume. And this is where I'll decide if you have the opportunity or that you're eligible for the opportunity of doing PLAR. I'd like to see all food services activities that you've done. Even if you started a long time ago as a dishwasher and you're now a Red Seal chef, I'd still like to see them all so I can see your scope of experience. I need 2 letters of reference. One of them from a work situation, if possible. It doesn't have to be your boss, but somebody from there. And the other one could be from your work situation as well, or a more personal one, but your mom cannot write the letter. So no family writing that, but someone else who knows you enough to know that you enjoy working with food and that you're interested in nutrition, and maybe that you're an organized person. You kind of like being in charge as well. I also need a valid food safe certificate. You can do this through Food Safe, which you can look up online, but there are also equivalents. So if you're doing this from an international place, not in Canada, Food Safe is not the easiest one to use. Send me an email and I can tell you alternate courses that you can do, which are equivalent to Food Safe 1. Now, Food Safe 1 or its equivalents all expire within 5 years. So if you've done it a long time ago, you better do the refresher. At some point, it's a good idea to do Food Safe 2 as well. And if you're international, wait till you come to Canada to do it. You can only do that one through the Food Safe organization. It's required for one of the courses in second year. So if you have it already, that's great. You just have to show your certificate. So having it is a good idea. We need proof of English competency. The system has changed recently at Langara. We need a level 2 in this program. So you can look online for that. And otherwise, you can also email me for more information on that. A letter of intent. Tell me, why do you want to do this program? I don't need the whole long story of your life since you're a young child and you like to cook, although that's kind of fun to know. But maybe a page, maximum 2, please. Just to why you want to do this program. And finally, if you've done some post-secondary, and it might be applicable. So maybe you have a nutrition or dietetics degree. I'll need the original a copy of that. If you're a Red Seal chef, I'll need your a certificate of that. If you've done courses in the past, but maybe you didn't finish that, or you did a degree in psychology, so you've done some psychology and some English, and they might be transferable, so you don't have to do them again. Those transcripts should be included in your application. All of these are sent to the registrar's office, not to me, and they'll bundle them together. And when your application is complete, they'll let me know and I can take a look at it. If you're having problems with the process, again, email me. I get lots of emails and I do try to respond to them all within 24 hours. So if it's taking longer, then you're welcome to send me another one. So this is the email. This is the screen that has a lot of contacts. So nutrition at Langara, that's a pretty generic email address that you can just go and then we can direct you to the right person from there, or you can email me directly. And this is my email address right here. The blog that I was speaking about is listed right here. And if you do want to subscribe, that's in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And you can follow the directions there. And finally, the website, which has everything I've just said and a lot more actually, and you can have it here. This might be a good screen to take a picture of so that you have it when you're looking later. Okay, well, if you want to hold your questions till later, if there's more, I will move on to the university transfer. And this path here is the one that leads us to mostly to UBC. So going to university can be exciting, but it's also challenging on a lot of different levels. The classes are much bigger. Langara, we have 40 students max, most of the time. On UBC, I remember sitting in a class with 400 students. It feels very different. If you're going with dietetics, you should be focusing on getting good grades and getting a lot of volunteer experience. And perhaps having an easier path through the first 2 years. People are often surprised at the courses that it takes to become a dietitian. It's quite a heavy load. But the UT path at Langara is especially exciting because if you graduate from the Food, Nutrition, and Health Transfer Program, when you apply to UBC, you are automatically given entry into the Food, Nutrition, and Health Program. So it is a preferred acceptance that you get right off the bat, right to the Food, Nutrition, and Health major. Most people who are taking this path are wanting to get into dietetics. So that's where I'm going to focus right now. But if you have a different path, feel free to ask about that in the question period. From the Food, Nutrition, and Health major, that's where you apply to dietetics from. And if you're successful, it can lead to a career as a registered dietitian. I myself graduated from UBC Dietetics, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that's like in later slides. UBC is the only place in BC where you can graduate from dietetics, but there are options in other provinces. We've sent a number of students. I consider them we've sent, but a number of students have gone, especially to the Maritimes from our programs, and been quite successful there. Once you get to UBC, it's 2 more years to get the Food, Nutrition, and Health major. But if you go into dietetics, it's another 3 years minimum, and it can only be done on a full-time basis. It's a very competitive application process, but the students who have come through the Food, Nutrition, and Health Transfer Program have been very successful at getting into dietetics. How this program came about is pretty interesting. We've been sending students to UBC as transfer students for quite some time. But UBC found that the students coming from Langara were extraordinarily well prepared. So they asked us to deliver them a program that would go directly into the Food, Nutrition, and Health Transfer Program and then into dietetics after application. So we did. And UBC is actually referring students to Langara and then to transfer back to UBC later. If you choose not to go into dietetics, there are other things you can do. You might choose to go into food sciences or into research or into some of their other options. You've got lots of choices finishing there. Now, the path through Food, Nutrition, and Health diploma is pretty tricky. So I made a separate graphic for it, and hopefully that helps describe it to you. The first thing that is unusual about the Food, Nutrition, and Health Transfer Program is that it is a second-year entry program. So you don't come to Langara and start right away in Food, Nutrition, and Health. So let me start at the beginning, right at the top here. So you would enroll in the Associate of Science of Food and Nutrition. And that's where you'll take up to 10 courses. You know what? If you don't have the prerequisites, it might be more. So the food nutrition and health program requires these 10 courses that you do in the Associative Science of Food and Nutrition. Now, getting into food nutrition, it's pretty easy. It's what we call an open enrollment program, and it doesn't have any admission requirements. However, most of the courses that you have to do in the food nutrition and health, in the food nutrition program, all have prerequisites. So you have to look at that carefully. Now, I don't have that as a slide, but if you're interested in what those prerequisites are, send me an email and I can give those to you. Most of those prerequisites can be done in high school if you're there. But if you are what we call a mature student and you're not coming straight from high school, or you've done another degree, you might have to do some upgrading courses. That's because the math and the chemistry courses have to be done within 3 years of taking Langara's courses. And that reflects what happens at UBC as well. So if you're more than 3 years out of high school, then you'll have to go back perhaps and do either grade 12 chemistry and math over again, or you can take the courses here at Langara. Once those 10 courses are completed, then you apply to the Food Nutrition and Health Transfer Program. And again, you'll need an application form, the same one that we needed for the Nutrition Management Program. You'll need a Food Safe 1 certificate right here, a letter of intent. Again, why do you want to do this program? A resume, and I'm looking for 6 months of food service work, just so that you've experienced that. When you apply to UBC for dietetics, they're going to want to see a lot of different skills that you've had, that you've actually investigated what it's like to be in dietetics. And this is one way. That's the first step of all this, and the application form. Because UBC has high requirements as far as your GPA, you are required to maintain a 3.0 CGPA. That's a B average. Okay. Now, there's one thing here, and I thought I had changed out my graphic, but I didn't. Right here, it says within 2 years. We're removing that and recommending that you get it done in 2 years, and recommending that you do the next part in 2 years. It can't be more than 4 years, and that's a UBC thing. UBC does not want students that have been stretching out their admission, their 2 years of admission, for more than 4 years. So once you finish the 10 admission requirement courses here, then you apply to the Food, Nutrition, and Health Transfer Program. These courses here can be pretty challenging. Here we're talking about things like organic chemistry and microbiology, biochemistry, calculus, and statistics. There's English, there's biology, and there's nutrition courses. You have to keep your academic average at 3.0 or the B, and the whole process can't take more than 4 years. Then once you finish at UBC, at Langara, you apply to UBC. If the process took you longer than 4 years, life happened and it just had to be stretched out. Or let's say your CGPA slipped below 3.0. Things like that happen. That's part of life. You can still apply to UBC, but you'd be transferring as a transfer student and not being able to use that automatic acceptance, preferred acceptance into the Food, Nutrition, and Health program. Once you get to UBC, as I said before, you do have choices. But something you should make note of, if you're planning on going into dietetics, there are 2 courses that you have to take before you apply for dietetics that are only available from UBC. And that's just one of those things they've done. The numbers is FNH 200 and LFS 250. And those ones you can do through a non-program type of registration. Again, email me, I can give you more information on that. So why would you want to do these first 2 years at Langara and not go straight to UBC? Well, there's a lot of practical reasons, and one of the first would be money. Langara is a lot less expensive to attend than UBC. That's a practical one. I'm quite a practical person, so I start out that way. The classes are also smaller, as I mentioned. Most of our classes are 40 students or less, And that's not the case at UBC. You have a lot more one-on-one time with your instructor, and often that translates into better understanding and better marks. Some courses are available online, not as many as with the nutrition management course, which is 100% online, but there are some, and that does help perhaps with your schedule, especially as you get started. All of us who teach in the nutrition and food service management department are dietitians. That means there's about 15 of us on campus or available through Langara. All of us have very different specialties and interests. And I don't know one of them that wouldn't be really happy to talk to you if you want some guidance about following their path, whether it be into sport nutrition, or if it's into public health, or if it's into long-term care or acute care. We have dietitians at Langara that really cover the whole gamut. And it's also a more gradual step to UBC. A lot of people find going straight from high school or going from a time of working into UBC is quite a culture shock because everything is big. So you can take advantage of that. But the next question, I think, would be, what is it exactly that a dietitian does? There we go. So as I mentioned, all of us who teach at Langara are dietitians, and I'm one too. Every path is a little bit different, and we've all had different opportunities. I started my dietetics career as a clinical dietitian at Vancouver General Hospital. I did acute care and I did outpatient care. From there, I went into long-term care. And as I was talking with one of you earlier, that's where I found my happy place. I really like working with seniors, and I like working with the administrative side of food service as well. At the same time, I was a consultant, and I consulted with different businesses as well. Then I wrote a dietetic internship program that actually worked out of Langara. That program no longer exists, but that is how I came to Langara to teach. And there are lots of other places that dietitians work too. They work in corporate companies. They work in research, both theoretical or applied research. Population health, which is really big. You know, population health right now is at the forefront with all the pandemic type of studies. My experience as a dietitian is one that I'm grateful for because I've had the opportunity to be involved with people's lives. Helping people with their eating is helping something that we do every day. And in a way it's personal, and in a way it's something so common to all of us. Yet it is profound, both to physical and to mental health. It is the center of most of our days, and it's always involved in celebrations. So now you have opportunity to ask a few more questions and to really think about which path it is you want to take. If you go through the career path or the university path, both of them have a great impact on the daily lives of other people. Regardless of which path you choose, the CSIM or the RD, the career path or the university transfer path, I'd be really excited that you start with Langara on that journey. I do wish you all the best as you make your plans and your decisions. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I can help direct you to somebody else if necessary. And I do hope I see you in some of my classes. In this next slide are some more links that you might want. And again, this might be something to take a picture of so that you have it for later. Again, email contacts, which are the same as the previous one. Our website pages, this is for the food and nutrition program. That's where you would that's where you would start. And the food, nutrition, and health page, that would be the second year admission core program. Now, for all of these programs, if you want advising, yes, you can come to me, but you could also go to the academic advisors at Langara. And there's two different ones. If you're an international student, this should really be your first step because they need to put some things in place to help you get set up for visas and all that other stuff that is really outside of my scope of knowledge, and I refer to them at all times.